Eggplant is really not a popular vegetable in the US, and I think some people don't like eggplant because they're eating it wrong. So either it's too tough or too mushy or it's too bitter, but I think if you learn how to make it right, you'll love eggplant just like I do. So let me share some tips with you on how you can make eggplant right. Pronto? Allora andiamo a cucinare. Ciao my friends, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Lucia. I'm a chef and nutritionist, and this is where I teach you easy recipes for everyday cooking. So I think one of the things that can alleviate a lot of problems that people have with eggplant, especially the bitterness, because the older the eggplant gets, the more bitter it is. So what you want to look for is a fresh eggplant. Now, how can you tell if an eggplant is fresh? Well, you want to look at the waxiness of the eggplant. It should have a nice shine, it shouldn't be wrinkled, and also when you press into your eggplant, it shouldn't leave an indentation of a fingerprint. It should pop up right away. So that's how you know you have a fresh eggplant. So the first thing we're going to do to start with our eggplant rollatini, we just cut this top part off, and then I like to use my serrated knife only because it's a long blade and it'll reach the whole length of the eggplant. So I want to start cutting probably about 1/2 inch slices, and you want to make sure they're all the same, only so that they cook evenly. The next thing we can do, if you find that you have eggplant that you've tasted in the past that's been bitter, one of the things you can do at this point is you can add some salt on both sides of your eggplant, place it in a colander, and then get a weight to sit on top of it, and that will help extract a lot of the bitterness from the eggplant. I don't need to do this because I know my eggplant is young and fresh, so it's not bitter, but that's one of the things that you can do to alleviate that bitterness. So at this point, what I want to do is I want to get a baking sheet. On my baking sheet, I want to make sure I put plenty of olive oil because I don't want the eggplant to stick. I usually don't use parchment paper or anything like that, but if you want to, you can. But I find that it's easy to clean up, it's not that bad. So evenly spread all that olive oil. And then we want to start placing our eggplant on our cookie sheet. We want our oven to be at 350 degrees. Now I'm going to be doing 2 eggplants for this recipe. So if you can fit both on a cookie sheet, that's fine. If you can only fit one, then you'll just use 2 cookie sheets. Then here, I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil on the top of my eggplant. And using a brush, I'm just going to evenly spread that. And then I just want to sprinkle a little bit of salt on top of the eggplant. So if you've salted your eggplant, go ahead and rinse it and pat dry it, and then proceed with this step. And you don't really need to put as much salt as the meat of the eggplant absorbs some of that salt. But again, you can try your eggplant before you eat it to make sure that there is enough salt to your palate. Now we're just gonna go ahead and put this in the oven and cook it for about 20 minutes. I'll show you what it needs to look like to know when your eggplant is cooked. Because if it's not cooked enough, it'll be tough, and if it's cooked too much, it'll be mushy, which is another issue that sometimes people have with the eggplant. So let's get that in the oven. All right, so now we're gonna get our filling ready. So in a bowl, we want to get a container of ricotta cheese. I like to use the whole milk. I find it's more creamy, and it's about 15 ounces, which is about 2 cups. So we want to add that. To that, we're going to add 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. To that, we're going to add about 1 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. This is a dry mozzarella. Now you can add as much as you want. These are just suggested amounts. If you like more, go ahead and add more. We're going to add some dried Italian seasoning. And then to that, we're going to add 1 egg. And we're going to add the zest and juice of a lemon. So I'm just going to zest this. Remember to always buy organic lemons if you're going to zest. Eat the zest from the lemon. You want the least amount of pesticides on your zest possible. But if you don't want to buy lemon, an organic lemon, you want conventional, that's fine. Just make sure that you scrub the skin really good to get that waxy buildup off and any pesticides. And squeeze the juice. And if you don't like as much lemon flavor, you can add just half the lemon. So whatever your palate prefers. We're going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now we're just gonna mix all these ingredients to incorporate. Now if you wanted to add some vegetables in here, like let's say you have some leftover peas from the night before, you by all means could do that. You could add some caramelized onions, roasted garlic, bell peppers, whatever vegetables you'd like to add in here would be fine. Even mushrooms would be tasty. Okay, our filling's all done, so let's go ahead and check on our eggplant. We can see our eggplant is done. It's soft, it'll bend for us, it's not firm, and it's not too mushy, so this is perfect. This is what we want. I have a glass baking dish, and I'm going to add some tomato sauce to the bottom of it, only because I don't want the eggplant to stick. So I just want to evenly coat the bottom of the pan, and that's about all I want, and that's fine. So I'm just going to set that aside. So to fill, we just want to take our filling. We want to place it on our eggplant, leaving about 2 inches. So then when we roll, we gently just push and roll, and the filling will kind of push out to the edge, seam side down, and we just want to place it in our baking dish. And we just want to continue doing this with all of our eggplant strips until all of our filling is used up. Now if you get a piece like this, don't worry about it. I cut this a little too thin, so it fell apart. So that's what those ends are good for, is we can just kind of piece them together a little bit. And they'll hold when they cook, so that'll be fine. So now we have our eggplant rollatini all in our baking dish, and so now we need to take some of the sauce and just spoon over. And I like to just put it in a bowl, and just with the spoon, just add like about a good heaping tablespoon of the sauce over each one. All right, now because I didn't add any seasoning to the salt or the sauce, and it's a little bit bland, I am just going to take a little bit of salt and just sprinkle over the sauce, as well as just a little bit of cracked pepper, and that's just going to help give a little bit of flavor to that sauce while it cooks in the oven. And then I'm going to take some of the dried mozzarella that I grated, and I'm just going to sprinkle on top. And you can sprinkle as much as you want. You can do a little bit, you can be very liberal with it, however you choose. These make for a perfect appetizer if you're ever having a party. They're great that you can make ahead of time because they're really not that hard to make. So if you want to, double the recipe and make half and freeze the other half, you can do it. And if that's what you choose to do, this is the point where you would freeze it. So you want to make sure you cover it with saran wrap and then cover it with some foil, put it in the freezer, and then you're good to go for whenever you are ready to bake it next. But we're going to be baking it right now. So now we just want to take a piece of foil, and we want to cover our baking dish. We want to now place this in the oven at 350 degrees for probably about 15-20 minutes, and then we're going to uncover it at the last minute to let that cheese kind of get a nice golden brown look, and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. What I like to do is just add a little bit of fresh parsley on top. It just gives a nice fresh color and fresh flavor and taste. And now let's go ahead and scoop this out, one of these. And we can see how beautifully cheesy goodness this is. So we'll go ahead and give this a try. That is really, really good. The eggplant isn't mushy. It's not bitter tasting or anything. It tastes very tender and flavorful. You can really taste that lemon that we put in the ricotta filling. It tastes so fresh. It's really good. One of the 2 ways that I love to serve my eggplant rollatini is with a healthy summer salad, or another way is with the charred Brussels sprouts drizzled with balsamic vinegar and served as a side dish. But you could use your imagination. I hope you guys give this one a try. You will like eggplant if you do it this way and follow the good steps that I had shared with you earlier. And until next time, I'm Chef Lucia, and I'll see ya. Ciao.